Do you need a pole saw for your tree pruning or your fall cleanup? Let's find out if Ego's got the one for you. We've got the Ego Power Plus MPS1001, which is basically their power head unit powered by their 56-volt battery and their pole saw attachment. So you can get this as a kit with a 2.5 amp hour battery and the charger all included, and we'll talk about pricing and warranty in just a moment. Let's take a closer look at the features on this saw, and then obviously we're going to use this. We're outside, we've got a jungle behind us. We'll pick out some different limbs to cut, pick out some bigger stuff to cut as well, and then we'll also cut up some cookies and just see how much we can get done with this saw. Let's get started. So this is the Ego 56-volt 10-inch pole saw kit. Model number is the MPS1001 as you see it, which comes with the pole saw, the power head, as well as a charger and a 2.5 amp hour 56-volt Ego Power Plus battery. Comes with a 10-inch Oregon bar as well as a 10-inch Oregon chain as well. So we have a standard Oregon bar and chain that we can purchase just about anywhere. You can order them online everywhere. So this is the whole kit as you see it. Obviously less the flex stack pack storage units here, but everything else on top here is what you get with the MPS 1001 kit. Now, since it is a power head unit, this will power other attachments as well. So really what you're getting is the pole saw attachment and the model PH1400 power head, which runs on the 56-volt battery. Now in here is a brushless motor that drives a shaft, and then the shaft goes through this tube as well as this tube and to the chain, also to a string trimmer head or whatever type of head you want to run. Now let's go ahead and get this put together so we can take some measurements, we can weigh this, and then we can obviously put it to use and see what we think. So before we do anything, let's get the bar and chain on here. Now to pull this cover off, that's what we need to do. Basically we have our bar retainer screw right here. That's usually a bolt or a nut. And what we have is our somewhat of a scrunch. What we're used to on chainsaws would be called a scrunch, but this is basically an Allen wrench that also has a flat blade on the other end, and it stays right here retained on the pole saw, which is pretty cool. So I can pull that off. So you could use your own Allen wrenches or hex keys if you wanted to, but we'll go ahead and loosen this. You want to take this all the way off. Move that out of the way. Our bar is going to slide on there. So this little dowel right here, that's going to be your bar and chain adjustment. So this is going to move in and out with this flat blade screw on the front here. As we tighten this, you'll see that dowel move forward, which would move this blade forward and tighten that chain. So to make sure I loosen that up so we've got enough play for this new chain, take the chain out of our package. And by the way, if you're not used to this, this is very sharp, so you may want to wear some cut-proof gloves of some sort. And we want to make sure that we have it facing the right way so it's cutting. Put it here on our bar first. Make sure each one of those guide teeth are laying in the bar. And again, be careful, this is where it can cut you. And by the way, if you need an indicator, this will tell you how the chain is supposed to look and go on the bar. And then we want to put it around that sprocket. And then you can see I really don't have enough slack to get this loaded, so I need to loosen this screw some more. And you see that dowel moving back. There we go. Put it around the sprocket again. And now I'm a little too loose. There we go. So now we have our bar on there, and we've got a little bit of tension on the chain. Now we'll put our cover back on. And by the way, there's a little guide pin right there that lines up with that. And then this little tongue right there goes in that groove. You don't want to tighten this all the way up, but get it pretty snug and then back it off a touch. And then that's where we now want to go to that screw and tighten that chain up. Want a little tighter than that. When you pull down on it, you want to almost see the top of those teeth in there. Now we've got the chain tight. We want to tighten down on that lock nut. That's going to cinch it in place. That's a little too tight for my liking. Loosen it up a little bit. There we go. It's about where I want it. Now before we use it, we will want to fill up the tank, or at least put some oil in the tank. So you'll use bar and chain oil in here. Put my scrunch back in. So now we've got our 10-inch bar and chain on. This is our fill tank. Right here is just some spikes for getting some grip, pushing this against a tree limb. Some people may call those bucking spikes, other names for them. And this is basically a kind of a limb hook. So when you cut something, you can kind of drag it out if you need to. I've used these quite a bit on other saws, so they do come in handy to have that little hook there. This aluminum shaft is very light, and it's going to click into the power head. But before we click it in the power head, let's go ahead and slide our sheath back on there. And then we want to put on our handle. You can choose to use the Allen wrench or hex key that comes in the kit, or you can use your own Allen wrench. It's just a 4mm Allen wrench or hex key, whatever you want to call that. Separate that, put it around the shaft. We can adjust it here in a moment. Cinch that down. You may want to loosen this and move this where you like it later. Now on the other end, this is where our brushless motor resides, also where we will slide on our 56-volt battery pack. It comes with a 2.5 amp hour battery pack, but if you have any of the Ego equipment, the 56-volt battery, any of those batteries are going to slide on here. The 2.5 amp hour is nice because it is a light battery, but if you're going to be doing more cutting, you might want to step up to a 5 or 7.5 amp hour battery. Now we have a safety button right here. So basically it's going to lock that trigger out. You see I can't push it. If I push that in and then pull the trigger, obviously now it will activate the motor. Without doing that, it's not going to. We have a 2-speed right here, so we have low and high. So you have some options there on how much cutting you want to be doing or how big of a limb. If you want to slow that down, you can, or keep it in high speed. We'll probably leave that in high speed. The locking mechanism is pretty self-explanatory and very easy to use. You have basically a push button lock, so it's going to slide in and lock automatically. Then you'll push the button to release, and then the thumb screw is basically just to cinch it down for safety purposes, as well as giving it some more rigidity. You'll see it has an arrow indicator to line up with the arrows that are embossed into the button here. So I can slide that in. Now it's locked into place. And as I was mentioning, we can tighten this down to give it just a stronger and tighter feel, more of a one-piece feel to it. In addition to this handle, we also have this rubber sleeve right here that adds as a secondary area to hold the tool as well, to give you kind of some more bracing or some more controllability. To give you an idea of overall weight, we'll use our scale here. Let's turn this on and we'll put the whole thing on here, battery, saw, and all. So you're looking at about a 12.5 pound tool. So not very heavy for the size tool it is. So 12 pounds, 9 ounces, 9.5 ounces. I'm kind of having to balance it up here, but that gives you an idea. Maybe 13 pounds, but I think we're shy of 13 pounds for sure. And size, as far as overall size, from the tip of the saw to the back, you're looking at 85 inches. But as far as what you're getting for reach, I'm going to measure from the middle of the bar to the middle of the handle, and you're looking at about 67 inches. So to me, that's kind of your extension from wherever you're putting your arm to. You're going to get another 67 inches of reach. And again, that's to the middle of the bar. So that should give you kind of your cutting area. And you can also add an intermediate shaft in the middle as well. I believe they are 31 inches, so you can also add another 31 inches to this as well. And arguably you could add more than one shaft. I don't know how much power drop you'll have in adding those 2 shafts in, as well as you might get some flexibility in there also. Now before we get to using this, let's go ahead and add some bar and chain oil in there. Get our cap on. Now let's go use this guy. Now you're probably going to want to know, will it cut some bigger stuff if you need to? Got a pretty large tree here. I don't know, that's probably a 6 or 8 inch trunk there. We'll go ahead and bring this thing down. Hopefully it doesn't fall on our camera. A little hanger there. And then I know what else you're thinking. You're thinking, how many cuts is it going to make? I know they say 70, but I'm not going to make 70 cuts, but I'm going to show you we can make several pretty quickly. Now, if you let the saw just eat, it'll eat its way right through there. If you put a lot of pressure on it, you can stop it. There. Put a lot of pressure on that to stop it, but if you just let it eat through, it'll cut through pretty quick. Now listen, with a 10-inch pole saw, typically you're going to be cutting 4-inch, 6-inch stuff at the max, and mostly under that. You're going to be pruning up trees. It's not a chainsaw per se. It's not a 16 or 18-inch chainsaw. It's a pole saw. It's meant to reach those limbs to get up there and cut those things that are over your head that would be quite dangerous if you're climbing ladders with a chainsaw. Trust me, I've had an accident to prove that's not a great idea. Ask me another time. Anyway, so this is the 56-volt brushless unit from Ego. Got plenty of power to make the cuts that you need, especially as a homeowner. Even as a professional, you've got lawn care that you take care of, or maybe you do some lawn maintenance, property maintenance. This is a great tool. We don't have to worry about gas. We don't have to worry about oil other than the bar and chain oil. But as long as we have bar and chain oil in there, we don't have to worry about gasoline to run it. We don't have to worry about lines corroding or gas hoses or gas lines actually getting eaten up by the alcohol and the gasoline now. We've just got a battery, and as long as we're charged, we're good to go. And if you have a couple of batteries, even better. Now, all of the cuts that we made on this, we made with this battery, and we only burn up 1 cell out of 5 there. So roughly we burn up 20% of this battery, maybe a little more, out of all the cuts we've done. Now, no, we didn't cut up an entire tree, but again, for a pole saw and what it should be doing, we made quite a few cuts. So you're going to get a lot of runtime out of the 2.5 amp hour battery. Now, if you're going to be going all day, then we recommend, hey, step up to a 5 amp hour or a 7.5 amp hour battery, or grab a couple of 2.5 amp hours. That'll work out fine as well. Pricing on this is $279 for the kit. Now, the cool thing about this is, once you're into this kit, you have the power head now, you have the battery, you have the charger. So now you can just add attachments, the string trimmer head, the hedge trimmer head, the edger head, and so forth and so on. And you can add intermediate shafts as well to lengthen this shaft also. So a lot of different variables that we can add to this kit to make it more worthwhile for you as a homeowner, or even for you as a professional. Eagle also has a longer 13-foot reach extending pole saw, more in their commercial lineup, but they have more than just this. But this is a great kit at $279 because they also warranty this for 5 years. Hey, we'll have a link in the description where you can find this tool. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok now. And if you wouldn't mind, when you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And by all means, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.